I just left the president. It was a great interview. He said a lot about the economy, about the Iran war, about NATO. One thing that I'll leave you with, I said to him, Mr. President, you keep talking about the war like was. I said, is it over? He said, it's over. Join the whole interview tomorrow, Mornings with Maria, Fox Business, 6 to 9 a.m. Eastern. I'll see you then.
I had to divert, because if I didn't do that, right now you would have Iran with a nuclear weapon. And if they had a nuclear weapon, you would be calling everybody over there, sir. And you don't want to do that.
Well, you keep saying was. Is this war over?
I think it's close to over, yeah. I mean, I view it as very close to over. You know what? If I pulled up stakes right now, it would take them 20 years to rebuild that country. And we're not finished. But we'll see what happens. I think they want to make a deal very badly.
So the war is over? I thought it had ended before it even started, and then we won it in March and then again in April. So much winning.
10,000 US troops are right now on their way to the Middle East as tensions escalate between Washington and Tehran. Overnight, the US Navy blockade on Iran faced its first major test after an Iranian ship tried to evade US forces. That forced an American destroyer to step in.
The US has announced a formal blockade of Iranian ports and coastal areas. This is illegal action. If you do not comply with this blockade, we will use force. The whole of the United States Navy is ready to force compliance. Now.
OK, for more, let's cross live to Mike Baker, former CIA agent. 10,000 troops, Mike, deployed now. What does that mean? What happens next?
Well, I mean, there's upwards of 50,000 U.S. military personnel that are deployed at this point, connected to the Iran conflict. And there are reports that they're sending additional resources, including several thousand more troops out there. And that's all happening at a time when the White House is messaging that they could wrap this conflict up soon, right? So they're saying, okay, it's likely we could wind this down. But at the same time, yeah, you've got this buildup, this surge of additional troops and assets out to the region, including another aircraft carrier and its strike group.
So do you believe the price of oil and gas will be lower before the midterm elections?
I hope so. I mean, I think so. It could be. It could be or the same or maybe a little bit higher, but it should be around the same. I think this won't be that much longer. They're wiped out, man. They're wiped out. And you don't get a fair shake. You don't get, we need a free and fair press in this country. And I don't even know why people would do that. Why would they say how wonderful they're doing militarily? They're doing so well. The country is wiped out.
The Fox News anchor just couldn't control her shock that Trump admitted that oil prices are actually going to rise before the midterms, not even stay the same, despite the fact that they've already risen quite a bit because of his disastrous war against Iran. The fact is Trump lies like he breathes. And the fact that he is admitting that the prices are going to rise, that means they're probably going to rise quite a bit. Now, oil prices, of course, affect people's commute. They're going to work. In a place like Los Angeles, you can drive far for work. And now to go to a job that's paying you not a living wage, but a minimum wage, you have to pay an exorbitant amount in gas for that car, or never mind any of your daily life and travel, but food. Fertilizer prices. I mean, this war has already created a drastic increase in the price of fertilizer here, 30 to 47% since late February 2026. Fertilizer prices have gone up almost by 50%. They have gone up in just this short period of time. And as you heard, Trump says it could go up even farther. This, of course, is huge because fertilizer is what farmers use for food. And now economists are predicting there's going to be food shortages. I mean, they say that about 70% of United States farmers, just here in the United States, about 70% of farmers will find it difficult to afford the necessary supplies to grow their crops. This is devastating, not only for the farmers, because if they don't, create crop, this is their business. They can go out of business and not be able to hold on to that farm or hold on to that land. But of course, for the rest of us, we will not be able to get the kind of food we are so used to. And the price of food will go up because it's just basic supply and demand. And if the supply goes down, the price of what is left will go up. And the United States grows products, crops for the world. I mean, for example, California is the #1 producer of almonds in the entire world. California is the largest agricultural state in the entire United States. So when Republicans try to act like, farmers are in red states, actually California is the #1 agricultural state. And we export throughout the world. So when you're talking about this situation in the United States, you're actually talking about affecting not just the United States, but the world. And we are talking about a basic necessity such as food. This is why that Fox News anchor couldn't control her shock when Trump admitted that this was going to get worse.
Have you been negotiating a lot all day? I mean, Is that why your voice is hoarse?
I've been screaming at Iranians all day, yes. A little bit of a laryngitis because of my I've been screaming at Iranians.
So the Iran leadership you're screaming at?
You know why? Because that's the only thing they understand. They don't understand being nice. They understand.
That is All In on this Wednesday night. The briefing with Jen Psaki starts right now. Good evening, Jen.
All right, Chris, I didn't see your whole show tonight, so I don't know if you talked about this, but there's so much we both wade through every day and decide, should we talk about this? Is this real? Is this important? When Trump was asked today why he has a hoarse voice, he said because he's been screaming at Iranians all day. That's what he said. I don't know what that means. I mean, if he were talking to Iranians on the phone all day, that would be big news. But I'm going to ask Jake Sullivan about that in a moment, but I had to call that one out.
Wait a second. So, right, the two possibilities are, three. One is there's direct top-level, president-level diplomacy happening over the phone.
Big news if true.
Huge news if true. Number two is he's lying, which that would be part of the course. And number three, perhaps the most intriguing, is that he's so deluded and out of touch with reality, he thinks he's been talking to Iranians when he hasn't.
It's happening in his mind. We don't know. Yeah. We may never know. But that's not the most important topic, but I'll be talking to Jake Sullivan about that in a moment. Anyway, have a good night. I will see you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
That single line, I've been screaming at Iranians all day, in itself could have brought down another presidency. Because the fact is, Trump says, we've already won. Why would he be screaming at them? He says, we've already put them back 20 years. Why would he be screaming at them? We're not even having direct negotiations. So why would he be screaming at them? This is why Congressman Raskin, Representative Stansbury, and others have filed a new bill in order to try to create a bipartisan commission for the 25th Amendment. It may not go anywhere, but this is exactly the kind of action Americans are calling for when they see this increasingly disturbed individual in this power position of the Oval Office. And that latest statement about yelling at them all day is just one small but scary example.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to add the MeidasTouch podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts for new updates every single day.